hone it down here. So the foe of our modern age, this technology, and the technology in the smartphone, which is like an extension of the mind. So, and Buddha didn't talk about it, and Thich Nhat Hanh talks a little bit about it, Eckhart Tolle, but that's a really very mechanical, unconscious habit of waking up, and already we haven't breathed kind of conscious life into our day, and right away we are going to something which is very habitual, and then it's actually going to leave us a little empty, and it's going to stir stress, maybe going whatever, Instagram, Facebook, checking, and going into, for many of us, this can be just out of habit and addiction. For some of us can be to support this mechanical efficiency, like, okay, to just hit the ground running and start doing. The cost of it is that we don't sound the do, it's like an octave, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. We don't resound the beginning of the day with what's the most important, with the work. So the cost of it is not just those 20 minutes, but the fact that there will be hours now spent in oblivion. So this recommended exercise for the rest of the month, this month of March, is to, as you wake up, for the first 15, 20 minutes, to not engage with the electronics in order to, for whatever reason, activate your sense of self, or to boredom or something. And what I was working with is to actually have on top of that, or in addition to that, because people have different morning routines, I like to, wake up, have a shower, have some coffee, this or that. So in all that period, not to go for that, not to do first thing in the morning. But the additional recommended exercise is to have 15 minutes, a minimum of 15 minutes of either sitting or walking practice. Sitting or walking, self-remembering, or or this kind of mindfulness in the way that we described in the video of the three brothers, and what we have done at the beginning of this meeting. That will be so valuable. It doesn't have to be closed eye. You can do closed eye. It's a lot of benefit of actually playing it with open eye as well, because this will, if we practice that, then it will come to us. If we visit this lover in the morning, then it will visit us later in the afternoon. So 15 minutes of, sitting with a coffee, or closed eye, open eye, or walking, but not walking to buy something, just walking and having those 15 minutes just for presence. You know what I mean? The three brothers, first one would be to, instead of being checked out past the future, to be aware of the totality of the now. So noticing thoughts, but not going along with them. When we go along with them, return. Noticing bodily sensations, feelings, not try to change them, and stay very present to sounds, like a cat, like a tiger.
Another way to think about this too is it's beginning the morning for 15 or 20 minutes without succumbing to momentum in all the centers. And so, for example, you could spend your morning in the kitchen. Do you know how, I'm sure this is familiar, you get into the kitchen, you're quickly sort of jumping from the kitchen counter to the refrigerator, to the stove, to the cabinet, to the trash can. You're getting it all done because you got to be somewhere in 20 minutes. And instead of racing through that activity, to go at a nice even pace, when you're going from the kitchen counter to the refrigerator, you're actually there. You're now just going from the kitchen counter to the refrigerator. That's it. You're not leaving one place to be at the other place. You're there in between. And the same thing, you pour the coffee, you watch the coffee pouring into the cup. You don't just pour the coffee to get the cup full and then toss the pot down and start, you do everything. You're there for it. You're conscious while you're starting your day. That's what we're talking about, starting the day consciously rather than unconsciously, starting the day with less identification rather than more identification. And if we can do that, we sound this do, as Mihai's saying. The beginning note of the octave for the day has the resonance of no momentum and no identification. And then that resonance may come back to us later when we've lost it. Or another way to say it is, we will recognize more quickly that we've lost it because we've tasted it first thing in the morning. We established it first thing in the morning. And I promise you, and I know some of you have already experimented with this, it will can create such a peaceful, tranquil, rich, rewarding start to the day that brings benefits throughout the rest of the day. And if not benefits, the shock. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's 12 o'clock and I've been completely lost in momentum since breakfast, since I poured that cup of coffee and watched the coffee and listened to the coffee and smelled the coffee while it was pouring into the cup. I've lost all these hours. I've been in the fog, and then we'll come out of the fog again. And whew, yes, to be out of the fog of imagination and identification is so beautiful.
Esoteric teachings or the ancient religions, which are all coming from teaching of a sage that later became thrown into the population and become a civilizing factor. But this, like, in order for this work to really take root, it needs to become important, like important, but really important in our heart, in our belly. And this is a gradual process. It doesn't happen overnight because we have this big momentum of so many things are more important. But coming back to this esoteric teachings is that place no other God before me. This exercise we're recommending is a way to test our faith, so to say, and to place no other God before me, before this conscious paying visit to our true self. In the Sufi, it was called zikr, remembrance of God, remembering of self. Ultimately, at some point, they will merge. So, and it's not all day, it's for 15 minutes, 15 minutes. Try it. And then if you fail or if you have a lapse or something, don't beat yourself up. Use this exercise according to your level of where you're at and watch self-deceit. That's some kind of the whisperer. Now coming back to this esoteric teaching, the whisperer. You're going to watch the whisperers telling you something, yes, but like this auction or something.